Yes, there is a recording in progress. So we are in our rhythmic limbering, okay? And rhythmic limbering is a multitude of movements. It's this big umbrella, right? Where you can stack up all kinds of your exercises that now we just go, oh, that's rhythmic limbering today, right? So that's what we're doing. Big movement, but not aggressive movement, right? That's what your warm-up should be. Big movement, but not aggressive movement. And so in the first segment of this class, I was explaining how our wrists and ankles function very similarly. And in that function, there's also a huge loss of function within those joints that actually trigger pain, hamstring curl, right? And all of that I was mentioning in order to segue into this next little tidbit of information. Relax your arms, keep your leg in curl mode. You guys hear me talk about castor oil, okay? And I've been running my own little experiment. I am my living, breathing experiment. I consider myself every day gives me this opportunity to stay the course of all of the normal things that I've implemented, or do I have a little, I'll call it bandwidth, right? Do I have a little more bandwidth to tinker with one more element to see what the result might be? So now, you saw me come into the screen and then I backed away. Do you have enough space to do your diagonal stepping forward and back, 4 or 5 steps? You don't have to count the steps, right? Just every so often, step forward. When you run out of space, move yourself back. When we come forward and back this next time, we're adding the hamstring curl. Put the arm pulling away from the leg, swish, swish. All right, so here's my experiment. I use castor oil for a lot of things, but specifically the last couple of days, I was like, I got this strange little pain and I have tried every which way to Sunday, right, to isolate it down to what muscle is causing this little annoying thing, marching feet. I'll show you where it is. It's like sometimes, and it's both elbows, which is odd, but I can rub my elbow, not pinpoint a pain, but it's like the bone, you can see that bone, right? It just sometimes aches. So what have I been doing this week? Taking a few drops of castor oil and just rubbing it on my elbows, right? It immediately goes away. No pain. I don't have pain in my tricep. This is why when we go in and we do the foam rolling and whatnot, I'm really sensitive to how our tight triceps can impact, right? How the elbows feel. So that's been I've been rolling my triceps for years. Not that I've been having this little pain. It's not a glitch. It's not a loss of function of pain, a loss of function of strength and ability. But it's a little annoying thing that every now and again, what it feels like I've run my elbows, which is odd because both of them will actually flare up, like I've hit my funny bone on a wall. That's how like sensitive they are. And it's not all the time. Hamstring curl back. So I thought, with all of my preaching about castor oil, I mean, I put it all over my face. I castor oil packed my back, right? So I thought, why not put a few drops on my elbows? Immediately, Upon contact, gone. Pain, pain no more. Isn't that pretty amazing? Now, could it just be that, could it just be the fluke of when you feel like something is actually beneficial, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy? It actually is. I don't know. Switch sides. This is about 8 reps. So this is why I bring my little stories to you, because I know that my body, other side, about 8, I'm looking for ways where when something rears its head, I can have an immediate go-to just to go, oh, okay, well, I don't have to suffer. I'm going to try this hamstring curl, alternating leg. So if you haven't gotten yourself any, Peggy and I were discussing this yesterday, okay? There are a couple of different brands that I use. And I use them for, I buy 2 different brands because I use them for different things. All right. Now, release and relax, shake it out. Time to get the heart rate going a little bit. I want you to feel like you're loosey-goosey. Right? That means your elbows, right? The hands, you're not holding, you're not trying to stand tall and contract your abs and squeeze your glutes. I want you to feel like your parts are just loose. So the stuff, castor oil that I buy, that I slather all over my face, is a higher caliber of oil than the other oil that I use for my castor oil packing. Okay, shake, shake. So now, if everything's feeling good and you don't have to be heavy on your feet like this, then I want you to have a little more spring like you're shaking something off of your feet, right? 10. And then if that feels okay and you're like, oh, I can bounce, the bouncing is an option, because as soon as you bounce, you're actually increasing your impact. And if you're not wearing shoes, this might make you feel like your feet are doing too much work, right? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We're going to tone it down in just a second. 4, 3, 2, toning down. Side kick out. Push it, push it. So I want you to think front, front, side, side. Now, do the back kick so that you can just get familiar with it. This is odd, right? Push, push, push. So can you combine front, front, side, side, back, back, push, push, front, front? The great thing about this, feel how your body weight, side, side, back, back. Feel how you have to shift where your torso is when you change into the different position kick, right? Push, push, front, front. Now get ready. Once you do your back push, come to your marching feet. All right. Other leg, front kick. Stay with front kicks. You're like, are you leading with your other leg? I know that I am. I hope you are too. Ready? Side to side. Push, push. Stay on side, side. Push, push. Go to the back. Get that familiar kick going again. Push, push. Stay on the back. Push, push. The great thing about this is, for that moment that that leg is trying to drive back, you are challenged with your balance. Front kick, kick, side kick, back kick. And because you're not holding yourself rigid, oops, see me take over. Because you're not holding yourself rigid, I want you to feel like your body is actually leaning back a little bit, then side to side, and then forward. Push it forward, take it out, push it back, lean back, side to side, lean forward, push. One more round, lean back, kick it, back you go, and relax. All right. Foam roller. So you may not have heard me say that we were going to do something with the foam roller. All right. You start with this. Raise it up. Is your body okay? Do your shoulders do that? Do you have a mirror readily available for you to look at yourself? Here's the great thing about the foam roller, right? Is you're going to know if your arms are bent. It's a feeling if you don't have a mirror, right? So I want you to shove up. Now, it's literally just the four fingers. The thumb isn't even touching the foam, okay? It can touch it, but it doesn't need to. Do your shoulders allow you to get the foam pulled down without your head pushing forward? That's tricky. Pull your head back. And now look at the angle that the elbows are making. That is your W, right? Reach it up, pull it back. What is an alternative? Right? Reach it up. The alternative is you might have to take your chin, tip it up a little bit to get the foam to your chest. But at the point where the foam comes too low, look at the arms. The arms are no longer in a W. So you've got to kind of keep your chin up and aim for that spot right at the top of the clavicles, which is like, well, it's hard to do that. It is. Pull it back, W. Reach it up. So if you're bringing the foam to the front of you, here's your consideration. Your elbows want to go back like that, but you have to tell them, take the inside of your elbow bone and push them forward in order for you to get your W with the foam in front of you. It's complicated. Reach up, and we're not even using any weight. It's just an accessory. This is where I would prefer you to be if you don't have shoulder issues, right? Again, we want the inside of the elbow pushing forward. Raise it up. Option number 2, get your head out of the way, pull it down, push the fronts of the or the insides of the elbows forward, and bring it right up into your neck. Raise it up. Pull it behind you. Walk around your space. Raise it up. So if you can do the movement with the foam coming behind you, stick with that one. Just 3 more. The interesting thing about our rotator cuff muscles, right, is what permits this movement into the W, which is why it's so hard. So if you can get into position, holding, what makes this so hard is your scapulas, right? Your wings under your scapulas, the muscles, subscapular muscles, need to be depressed and retracted in order for your elbows to sit forward and in line with your torso. For most people, this is not a comfortable resting spot, but this is where we should try to get our shoulder function to be. And now, that's it. No more foam until we go to the floor for our core stabilization. All right, we are getting ready to do isometric one leg. So pick your leg, load it, and what I want you to do is take the other leg and just tap it, tap out. Think 3 ranges of motion, right? So I'm going to start and then you follow when you're ready. Forward, side, back. Forward, side, back, right? This this moving limb here, right? It would seem like the moving limb would be where the muscle work is happening. But if you're going, well, actually, what I really feel is this quadricep, right? Then you're dialed in. You can do this with a stiff stance leg, which is going to eliminate the quad work. But if that's what your knee needs, then don't flex it and make it work harder. So now, one more round. Relax. Switch feet. Load it, get the toes squared up, put weight on it. If your mirror, right, reflects back to you and shows you the picture of your knee sliding in, like I could do that so wrong, and it actually I can do it, and it feels so uncomfortable because my arch has flattened out. So if you don't have a mirror, look down. Move that knee out like you're putting it in line with the third, fourth, and baby toe. All right. Here we go. Front, side, back. Front, tap, side, tap, back, front. So depending on how much bend you have in that stance leg will determine whether or not you're really isometrically loading the quad. You decide how low are you going to go, knowing that you need to keep trying to drive the knee out. So one of the drills that I would be able to do with somebody, if I noticed that I could not get them into a clean stance with the weight pulling into the right spot, what would happen, you keep going, what would happen is I would put a band around their knee, light resistance, and I would be over here. And they would pull that band out, right? Because that's the weak part is your glute medius, and walk it out. Okay, grab your dumbbell. I'm going with an 8. You decide how heavy you're going to want to go. Oh my goodness. Got my little turmeric. It was Sandy who reminded me that turmeric is known for yellowing things, which I had forgotten. Single arm, bilateral, deadlift. Hinge, pull up, hinge. When you pull up, you may not have noticed what I've done with my non-weighted arm. Because when I pull up, I want to feel my fingers connect with the inside of my elbow so that I can like remind myself, depressed shoulders, right? All right. So if your shoulder can do that, that's a great resting spot for your non-weighted arm. Pull up, pinch the derriere. We're going to take this one step further, which might branch off into another 3 movements, okay? So when you come up, I want you to take the opposite foot to the weighted arm, and I want you to step forward on it. Pull back, get the feet back in line, but not close. Hinge, soften the knees, tailbone is back. Pull up, squeeze your buns. Step forward, rock off the heel of your back foot. Pull back, feet apart. Hinge. Are you struggling with getting, step forward, with getting your traveling leg to come back into the correct position? So often when we move our feet and then we track back, the stance gets closed in And that's not where you're supposed to start your deadlift, right? Hinge, pull up, step forward, rock back. Your feet are hip width apart. Hinge. Here's the next part of it. Step forward. If you're going for the next part of it, you're in hammer curl. If you're going to go for the next part of it, you're in shoulder press. Track the scapula down and the elbow down and the arm down and hinge. Pull up, step, push, track back. Hinge. Up, push, back. Hinge. Curl it, drive it, track back, release it. One more. Push, pull, relax. Other side. In the event you have this other side that can't do that, right? Then you have options. You can drop the weight and just follow through with the non-weighted movement, or keep doing the weight on the other side. It's up to you. Okay, so take your non-weighted hand, put it behind you, just start with your hinge to deadlift. There was so much more we could add on to this. From this position, believe it or not, we could add a row, a tricep kickback, come back up, right? Calf raise. Like, this is an 8-part movement if we wanted to go there. Hinge. Sometimes when I know that we could be doing 4 or 5 more movements synced together and we're not, it makes me go, oh, did we really go to our maximum position with that? Since we're not doing maximum weight load, get ready, pull it up. Take that opposite foot to the weighted leg, step forward. You're trying to get off of the back heel. Right? Step back, keep the feet hip width apart. Hinge. Pull it up. Step. Heel. Drive it. All right. If you're ready, you're going to work into your bicep curl. Maybe you can do the bicep curl, but you can't do the shoulder press. Track back and release. Hinge. If at some point you look up and you're like, man, I started in tempo with Michelle, but she's always changing her speed. So then periodically I look up and I'm out of sync. Don't worry about being in sync with me. You might even need to go slower than myself so that as you come into your hinge, you take a few seconds to identify, I can actually feel my hamstrings pulling in a good way, right? That's load. Pull up, squeeze the buns, hammer curl, drive it, retract back. Stay here for a moment. Draw your hips down like you're doing a squat. This is the number one place where most people should be in order to maintain their tabletop spine, but they're trying to do their deadlift with too straight of a leg, and that's what puts them into C-curve spine. It's the inflexibility of the lumbar and that whole glute movement into the hamstring that keeps you from being able to do tabletop. You've got 2 more. Here we go. Hinge. Stay here a little long. Now, once you get your legs bent, at some point, if you don't feel the hamstring, that means that you need to come out of your leg bend just enough for you to feel the taxing load on the hamstring, so long as your spine doesn't curl. Pull up, step and curl and push. You've got 1 more. You're going to practice your deadlift again. Think about doing a squat. Go, okay, I'm nailing it with my flat back, and then lengthening the leg just to the point where you feel the hamstring, but you haven't lost your tabletop spine. Pull up, bicep curl, shoulder press, track back, release and relax. Your dumbbell is going to just be your accessory on the floor for you to have a visual object to clear. Okay, so I've got my dumbbell right in the midline of my body. This is another segue into a balance move, but rhythmic for hip mobility. Put your weight on one leg. The free leg is going to come and sweep from the inside out back to its start position. And then we march. Sweep. Right? 3 marches. 1, 2, 3, sweep. 1, 2, 3. You're like, are we repeating same leg? You are. So from the inside out, march 2, 3, cross over, sweep out, march 2, 3, cross, sweep. Here you go. I like to do this one with a nice high raising leg, right? And with some tracking step pattern work, which is a rock step, back 2, 3, step into it, 1, 2, 3, step into it. And you're like, you're actually doing like 5 steps, Michelle, learn to count, right? So if my tracking back steps have thrown you off, that's why I gave you the basics, all right? Sweep it out, rock it back, right? Now, stop. Leg number 2. Here's the balance part. In the time that it takes you to get the leg going the correct direction and back to load, feel how long you have to stay in control on your balance leg, right? So the height of this thing is just to give you something to shoot for, right? Here you go. 1, 2, 3, sweep. March 2, 3, sweep. This is a basic move. It's an awkward move, right? So you're like, you want more. If you want more, the foot doesn't come down in line with the other foot. The foot is going to step back and then you work it in. So it is a 5 count step. I don't want to like get us right into our alternating leg because that's complicated. But if you were to march your feet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oh, it's a 6 count step. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't make it count out right for you. I'm going to show you something because this is ultimately where the movement is. This is our full range that I'm trying to get you into, which is an alternating leg, and why I tried to initially start us on a 3 count march, because in your alternating leg, that is 3, 2, 1 sweep, 3, 2, 1 sweep. I hope you're here with me and not going, I'm confused. March 2, 3. Every time you get to swish the other leg. This might seem like we've spent a lot of time doing something, and now I want you to imagine that what you're trying to clear is higher. And in order to do that, you have to use your hip flexor and quad strength, hamstring flexibility, core stabilization, and this little bit of coordinating, right? It is very hard to lift your limb high and straight without a lot of control. And you need these other parts, which would be your trunk. And you exhale here, exhale here. No telling when you guys are going to get into like mixed martial art move, right? Last one, push, relax. The low level was to teach the rhythm. The high level was really the huge effort. And when you went into the high level, everything that might have seemed so basic and easy, right, just flew out the window as if you hadn't done the movement before. Hold the arm up. Really high. If you need the other hand support, put it along the tricep, just under the elbow to assist. Walk around your space. Can I tell you, for most people, they actually will have a very hard time keeping the arm straight. The arm will start doing that. Push it up. You're going to feel like your body is compensating because you're only reaching weighted on one side. This is part of the workload, right? So your shoulders cannot be exactly symmetrical and evened out on the horizontal plane. You're pushing, push it up. Keep that arm close to you. Everything should be feeling like it's being fired up in a way that feels uncomfortable. And your shoulder blade is hard at work here, those muscles around the shoulder. Now, ease the arm down. Ooh, switch sides. What if you've got a bum shoulder and every time you try to raise your hand above your shoulder line, it like gets nagging, biting pain? But you just heard me tell you to switch arms. Are you going to try it? No, you're not, because you know better. Go back to your other side. Only work the parts that don't have pain. Push that arm up. Pull your belly in. Stand up tall. Now, unless your space has like an obstacle course where you have to look down at the floor, look out. And this is how you get to identify, is your bicep and your ear vertically aligned? That's part of how you know, is your shoulder, right, at full extension? Whew, belly to spine. Couple more seconds. Everything under your shoulder blade, right, should feel like it's fatiguing. And now ease it down. Set the weight down. You're going to chamber the leg. That's what it's actually called. Knee raise to chambering, and extend the leg. Pull it back, set it back down. Pull the leg up into a giant knee raise. Abs are tight. Now take the leg, point the toes, extend the leg. Chamber it, set it back. Glide up into your dominant stance leg. The toes are pointed on the lifting leg side. I'm turning to the side for a reason. Because the thing is you need to control to a full extension leg. How high do you lift your leg? It's all relative to at what point, I'm going to show you a few things, at what point is your leg not extended? So both legs at full extension, take the knee. So where is your foot in order for your knee to be able to get full extension? It's not a high lift. The knee pulls up and then the leg extends. Don't try to get it to the horizontal line, right? Pull, snap, pull, set. Lift, snap, retract, set. Right? Lift, snap, retract, set. 3 more. Up, kick, pull. 1. Up, kick, pull it back. 2. This is it. And now walk it around. None of that. Well, I shouldn't say none of that should have felt challenging. There are aspects to the challenge of it, right? This is a building phase movement. So now I'm going to leg number 2. The leg that I'm getting ready to extend is the trailing leg. Feel yourself rock up onto your stance leg. Feel the lifting leg go to a nice pointed toe position and practice your extension. You can always work the leg higher once you feel like you can control the clean, crisp leg action, right? So the more control you have, the quicker you'll be able to move your leg. and meet all the elements, right? But as you're learning the move, your movement might be this tempo: up, snap, pull, set. 4 clean positions. 2, 3, 4. What it takes for you to pause, that's the real challenge, right? So, challenge and speed. How much speed? At what point, if you try to go faster, are you actually losing the straight leg position? If you try to go faster, are you throwing yourself out of balance? 4, arms up. 3, you're looking at kind of just a fixed position out in front of you. You're not staring at your foot. 1 more, and cut. Walk it around, grab your dumbbell. We are going to add in from our deadlift. We're going to single arm deadlift. You're going to row. You're going to tricep kick back. You're going to come up into your curl and your press. So think about all of that. What weight would you need? Can always err on the side of less is more if there's anything about that, because like your biceps, your triceps, and your shoulders are similar in size. So pick the weight that's suitable for those muscles, all right? Because if we pick a heavier weight for the strength of our deadlift and our row, you'll have a hard time doing kickback, right, into your step and curl and push. Now, just for the sake of keeping things interesting, on the step back, right, so you could just come out of your shoulder press, you just came out of your forward step and shoulder press, trade the weight over. Complicated, right? Hinge, get down there. You're dropped into your squat. Pull your elbow up for chambered row into tricep, releasing down. Stand up, opposite leg steps forward into bicep curl, shoulder press. Track back, keep the feet hip width apart, change the weight to the other hand. Deadlift, row, kick back, releasing, stand up to curl, opposite leg steps forward, shoulder press, track back, switch the arms, deadlift, row, tricep, stand and curl, step and press, switching, hinge, row, kick back, up, step and curl, shoulder press, track back, hinge, row, push, release, stand, step and curl, push. You got 3 more. Hinge, row, tricep, stand, opposite foot step, push, track back. 2 more. Now, I would think the most challenging part of this, unless you have pain somewhere, would actually feel like the most challenging part would be your tricep kickback. Hinge, pull the elbow up, nice clean extension, woo, stand tall, opposite foot steps, drive it up. You're up. Oh, did you step back? You're holding. Now, can you take both hands to your dumbbell? Be careful as you're transitioning. Both hands are on the fat ends, okay? And now, give me your tricep press. So I've got my dominant leg forward. right? I should say that is my dominant leg. Soften your knee on that forward leg. When you extend your arms, hamstring curl on the trailing leg. Up, down, up, down. 4, 3, 2. Keep the arms up. Switch the legs. Right? Get on that front foot. The other foot has got toe point. If you can't get balanced, then that back leg just stays as part of your anchoring process. But soften your front knee. That's going to help you with your balance. Hinge the arms. Pull the foot up as you straighten the arms. Down. Push. Down. Arms up. Foot down. Up. 2 more. Exhale. 1 more. And relax. So that should have felt like everything was hard. It's hard to hold your arms up. It's hard to coordinate the leg. It's hard to actually go into overhead triceps while you're trying to do something with your legs. So we're going into our foam roller. I want you to get your foam roller handy. Put your mat down. Keep one of your dumbbells close by. Oh, so many things I want you to have. Mat, towel, pillow. Pillow or a yoga block, right? We need something to be able to push our foot down on when we get into that next phase. So I've got my trusty little 8-pounder. Ooh. Okay. Oh, don't get distracted. I'm saying that to me, not you. Core stabilization and foam roller. Hopefully you've got your long foam roller handy. Oh, you might as well put your pillow or your block or your towel between your knees. Ease yourself down. Oh, 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 oh. So the funny thing is, in my Tuesday class at Indian Rocks Beach, we do use our foam rollers, but we don't always get on them for chest expansion work. And now that I'm on it, I'm going to talk about what I feel my body doing just to help give you some reference points here, and see if you are having the same like things happening. So don't let your feet go any further apart from one another than they absolutely have to be. That starts the balance part of this, okay? But if it's been a while since you've done your chest expansion on your foam roller, you might find that your back is really arching up away from the foam. And that's kind of your indicator to go, wow, I'm way out of neutral spine. Like as I stand, I'm way out of neutral spine. So, because now this foam roller is giving us a frame of reference. If you're way arched right now, then chances are that arching spine is taking place throughout other parts of your day too. So let's dial the lumbar down and pay close attention to the closer you get your lumbar to the foam, what bad position does your neck go into? Did your neck and head just tilt back? Mine sure did. So now I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to gently encourage my head to go in the correct alignment. All the while, I'm still firing up that lower back, pulling the lumbar down, activating my derriere. I'm going to wiggle my feet as close together as I can, so close that I'm pulling my feet back and I'm trying to put my big toes to touch while I'm squeezing that thing between my knees. The closer my feet get together, the harder it is to keep my lumbar where it needs to be. So if you're starting to make these adjustments and you're like, I can't keep my feet together because I can't balance, right? This is why we're doing this. We're getting a 2-for-1. The 2-for-1 is we're just holding our arms open, taking advantage of the chest expansion stretch while we're trying to start incorporating our core stabilization muscles. All right. If you need to separate your feet a little bit, then do that. But if you don't need to, the side edges of your big toes are touching. You're squeezing forcefully that object between your knees, right? And then all I want you to do is just elevate, just and only just a little bit, the backs of the hands from the floor. That's it. You have to be able to keep the backs of the hands off the floor in order to go to the next level. So if your hands are kind of playing this little bumper game where one hand smacks the floor and then the body tries to stabilize and you push too hard and then the other hand smacks the floor, then you need to separate your feet a little bit wider. Okay, you've made too hard of a movement for you. So now, if you're like, nope, I've got it, my feet are touching, my knees are squeezing my pad, my lumbar is down, my neck's where it needs to be, my hands aren't on the floor, I want you to start doing a modified snow angel. And modified just means you're not going to swing the arms up overhead. It means you're going to do the bottom half of the wingspan. And as your hands are not touching the floor, right? You're squeezing your object between your knees. You're still getting the benefit of your chest stretch. Hopefully no strain in the shoulder, right? And hopefully you're not playing bumper hands to the floor. All right, so hold them out and then raise your arms up. Squeeze the buns. Pull that low back down to the pad. What I mean by that is the foam roller. Tuck your chin. If you feel unstable, separate your feet more. If you're dialed in and everything's nice and tight and you're like, I feel like I'm laying on the ground, I'm that solid, right? Then you're going to bring your pinkies down at a comfortable wide angle from the hip line and just reference the floor. Where is the floor? And then barely let the pinky touch the floor because you're going to take one leg and you're going to extend it towards the wall in front of you. If you're dialed in, your pinkies will not touch the floor and you'll be still. Switch legs. When you go to extend leg number 2, right, before you pick leg number 2 up off the floor, make sure that you've got your lumbar where it needs to be, your cervical spine where it needs to be. Move slowly as you're transitioning that foot off the floor so that you don't like whiplash yourself off of your foam. And here's where you might find that you have one side that really struggles, right? One side might have just nailed the movement where you were dialed in, and this other side, you may not be able to get that clean hold position. That would not be uncommon. That just means part of your setup. So if you're having that exact problem, let the pinkies barely touch the floor and then pelvic tilt deeper. That will clean it up for you. And release. Whew. So drop your block, ease yourself off of your foam. All right. You're going to put the block back between your knees, but you don't need your foam. We're swapping out and going into our dumbbell. All right. So the foam is between your knees. We're just going to keep trying to work our adductors a little bit. All right. Easy does it. Getting the weight. One hand's got the weight. It's straight up. I want the opposite leg to the weighted arm to be your straight leg. Right? And then flex the foot. Now, what direction is the object between your knees swinging? You might have to go, what is she talking about? I want the block, if you're using a block, I want the block to actually sit so that it's centered, so that it's not cockeyed, tilted, right, squirrely. What do you have to do with your hips and knees and feet in order to keep the thing between your knees sitting true? Nothing is ever as simple as it seems like it should be. Relax the leg, bring the arm down, transition the weight to the other side, push the arm up, take leg number 2, straighten it. The other leg is bent and you've got your gaze looking at your block, right? Is it straight? Is it cockeyed? Is the foot of the bent leg swinging in towards the other side of your body? Align your parts. Wow. Now, take the block, bring the weight down. Your goal is to put your block on your foot. If you're using a pillow, that's fine, right? It could be anything. It could be a towel, right? It's just to give you this awareness of, one, how hard is it to actually get your foot connected to something, right? And have it sit there. This will test a lot about the pointed toes of your foot, right? All right, so the leg is up. Hopefully it's static. The other leg is bent. Put the dumbbell in both hands. Think overhead tricep extension. Now, if you're really wanting to go full connection here, right, which might cause you to drop your block, right, because just the little bit of wiggling, I feel like my fan. I feel like my fan is blowing so fast that it just knocked my block off me. But it didn't. I knew my block was going. And so the more parts we get going here, the harder it's going to be to control. Okay, so I've got both legs up. And I've got my arm and tricep extension. The non-weighted leg, it's up. I want you to let that leg start tracking away from the other leg, not lowering down in front, but pulling out to the side. That's it. I don't expect much. You've got one leg vertically holding the block. The other leg is pulling out like it's doing an inner thigh stretch. And both arms, right, are going overhead tricep press. Now, pull your weight down, close the legs in, right? Trade the block to the other side. Even if you weren't doing all of the elements, maybe you were just focused on getting the block to your foot. Maybe you have a partner, right, around the house and you're like, hey, could you put the block on my foot? Right? Before you like get yourself going, take a few seconds because you can use your other foot to gently, position the block. But my foot is doing something really interesting. This is what we're finishing with, all right? So I know if you need to go, like you're just doing this last leg. If you do have the block on your foot, are your toes pulling away from the block, right? See if you can get your toes to touch the block and flex the ankle at the same time. So the tricky thing about our foot is that sometimes our toes pull towards our shin when the movement is actually supposed to be at the ankle joint. So can you keep your tiptoes touching your block or your pillow or whatever and move the ankle into its position? Maybe, maybe not. Put the arms up, take the other leg up, start your triceps. Now, if you're going for the grand finale here, the other leg starts pulling away from the high leg, right? And it just ends up hanging out there. Your hips are stable, right? Toes are touching the block. The ankle is flexed. You've got about 3 more arms. This is truly core stabilization, pelvic floor work, right? Isometric loading, release the dumbbell, bring the block down. Oh, finishing with a little cat back, sway back. So take your time, roll it over. Here's what I'm happy about. I'm happy that for me, 60 minutes of exercise always feels like it's about 10. Now, I know that's not a good thing for you all when you're trying to keep a schedule. However, there's so many movements to do that we can do that time for me just flies by. So as you're in your cat back, hopefully the tops of your feet are pushing to the floor. The heels of the hands are helping you drive your arms to full stretch and keep the arms stiff as boards and then settle the hips into the other swayed position, sliding shoulders away from the ears, trying to let the jawline pull up and through. Ease yourself, transitioning head to chin to chest, curling the spine, pushing firmly into the arms. The arm push should get you feeling like you're driving your weight back just a little bit, which it helps you get more of that rounded spine. And now as you come into the last sway back, don't just drop into it. It's a slow, segmented thing that gives you enough time to slide your shoulders away from the ears as the spine sags so that your neck can go for its full opposite range of motion. Ease the head to neutral, stub the toes, press to downward dog. Don't worry about whether or not your heels touch the floor. You could even bend your legs without the heels touching the floor and really focus on getting the hips high and your head between your arms. And then walk back. Oof. Slow up. Oh my goodness. Well done, you guys.